Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. This came out in 2011. It was 4 years after the last one at World's End. And so, if you watched my last review, or if you're familiar with the franchise at all, that kind of wrapped up a trilogy with the first three. And now we have pretty much a whole new cast, whole new crew. Well, parts of the crew anyway. So we lost Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley are no longer playing Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann. They had a pretty big part in the original three movies. Their whole love triangle, their romance was obviously a huge part of those movies. Here, it's now just turned into the Jack Sparrow show. So Johnny Depp is back, of course, as Jack Sparrow, and now the whole goal is to find the Fountain of Youth. I'll get in the plot a little bit, but this time, so like I said, we lost a couple characters. We also no longer have Gore Verbinski directing. He directed the first three. Now Rob Marshall is the new director of this one. Before this, he did Chicago, Memoirs of a Geisha, Nine. So he's really known for kind of musical stuff. And then after this, he did Into the Woods, and he's doing like the new Mary Poppins movie. So very musical-oriented guy. So kind of a weird choice for him to do this. And this probably has like the least musical numbers in it. Some of the other ones have, the Pirates or whatever will start to do a song and dance, but I don't really do that here. So other than Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow, of course, the only other real main character we have, or big character, returning is Jeffrey Rush as Barbossa. So he's been on all the other ones. And now everybody's wants to find the Fountain of Youth. So there's like a sailor washes ashore onto Spain with Vasco da Gama, Cortez, I can't remember who it was, that supposedly found the Fountain of Youth, and he has like directions. So the Spanish want to get there, and then the British want to get there to beat the Spanish, and then of course we have all these pirates that want to get there. So it's kind of one of my big problems with this movie is actually it doesn't really seem like anybody has huge, really important motivations to get to this fountain, especially like with the Spanish and the British. It seems like they just are going because the other one's going. As far as the pirates, Jack Sparrow's kind of he's recruited to get the new pirates there. So the new pirates are Blackbeard and Angelica. Angelica is played by Penelope Cruz, and she's supposedly the daughter of Blackbeard, and Blackbeard is played by Ian McShane. So they're really the only pirate outfit in this one, and Blackbeard wants to get to the Fountain of Youth because supposedly it's been profited that he's going to be killed, and so he wants to find it. And then Barbossa he's like human now. That whole storyline of him being the skeleton was done after the first one, and now he's not a pirate technically. He's a privateer for the British, and so he's actually leading the British naval regatta or whatever to find the fountain. And his motivation isn't really shown until the end. He's actually just wants to get back at Blackbeard, and so he's going to the fountain to find him, I guess. But throughout the whole movie, none of it's really clear. It doesn't really make sense why people are going there, and I don't know. I have my problems with the movie. I'm not going to get into each and every little plot point, but I don't think the directing's nearly as good this time. There's no like real mystery or suspense with anything. A lot of recycled material, especially like the fights seemed very familiar from the first movie and stuff. So I don't think the directing's that great. This one is much more straightforward. So a lot of the other movies, they had like just double crosses everywhere, and I thought that got a little tedious, especially with the last one at World's End. It seemed like so many people double crossing everybody. It was hard to really keep straight. And here they don't have anything of that really. Nobody's double crossing. Everybody's motivations are pretty straightforward. And even when they try to make it a mystery, it's not really mysterious at all. So I guess that's kind of a good thing. What else? It's kind of go along with like some of the parts I don't like. It's a little bit slapsticky. It's always kind of had those kind of moments of comedy and whatnot, but here it seems like, I don't know, for some reason it seems worse here. Probably just because the rest of the movie's not as strong, and so the bad parts stick out a little bit more. There is kind of one interesting part. So when they're getting closer to the fountain, one thing about this movie I thought was like the fantastical elements are not as prevalent. They're not as strong. There's definitely elements here that have like fantasy to them, especially some of the stuff that Blackbeard can do. He kind of traps other ships in bottles. That's like where the Black Pearls ended up, in a bottle. And then he can control his ship in certain ways and make like wind in the sails and control the ropes. And then there's like these mermaids that I'll get to. So they have like these kind of fantastical elements, but for some reason they seem very downplayed. You know, they don't have a whole crew of a ship that's these crazy octopus and fish creatures or cursed by becoming skeletons, and it seemed like it was a lot stronger in the other ones and more of a plot point. But here it's just kind of in the background, and I think some of that could be due to just not as good of a script and not as good directing. But the one thing I kind of did like about this movie, so like I was saying, when they get closer to the Fountain of Youth, they run into mermaids, and they all know that they're going to be dangerous, and they'll try to like kill you and bring you down or whatnot. But they need the tears of a mermaid to get to the Fountain of Youth, so they're all like trying to capture them and stuff. And that sequence is pretty cool, actually. It reminded me of a little bit of the scenes in the Harry Potter movie. I can't think off the top of my head which one it is, but it's the Goblet of Fire, when they're running to the mermaids. So in that one, in Harry Potter, they're a little more just straightforward like creatures, and then here it's the more traditional mermaids with the female upper body and the fish tail lower body, and they're kind of more like sirens too, which is a nautical thing where sirens lure sailors into like the rocks and try to kill them, and they kind of mash them together here. But they're also kind of like evil and vampiric and have some scarier elements to them. So that part was kind of cool. It's probably the like most interesting part of the movie, but it also could have been done a little bit better. I think that has to come down to directing as well. I don't think it's the action could have been a little more thrilling with a different director, I think. But it was still pretty interesting. And just so, for some of the parts I didn't really like Barbossa here. He has some funny parts, but I just kind of wonder why he's always here, popping up. There's some funny parts at the end, kind of how they resolve things are a little bit funny. Another movie that really reminded me of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, especially with all the Fountain of Youth stuff. Very similar to the Holy Grail elements of that movie. So that came into mind. And then, of course, talking about mermaids, there's a very definite nod to The Little Mermaid, because it's a Disney movie, and we have this kind of romance with a mermaid, but that kind of goes nowhere too. So yeah, these movies have just kind of been going a little downhill. The last two, I think, were kind of passable. 2 and 3 were okay. This one starts to slip into that area of not recommendable. I'm only going to give this a 2.75 out of 5. So it's not, it's not a horrible movie. They're decently made visually. They're sort of interesting. I think this would be okay for kids. I definitely think this is losing an older audience. So you probably have to keep this more geared towards kids. So that's probably, why the lower rating. And again, I'm only doing this because one of the podcasts I like is doing this as a series that they're reviewing, and the new one did just come out. I don't think it's doing terrible or great in the theater, but I'm definitely not going to go see it in the theater, so it'll be a while until I get around to review that, until it comes out on video or whatnot. So yeah, I'm kind of hesitant about that, kind of worried to see where it'll go with that one. But that'll be it for this. So again, 2.75 out of 5. All right.